Good morning, Enid. It is 7:30 on this Thursday, March 22nd, a few days after spring. So this would be our first, I guess, spring has sprung show. Anyway, currently we're at 44 degrees, but it will feel like spring this afternoon with the high around 75 degrees and be a windy March because our winds will be like, probably 20, 30, 40, 50. I don't know, real windy today. We are so glad that you joined us here on this Thursday morning. Grab a cup of coffee, and for the next 30 minutes, we've got news, weather, sports, and we're talking trees this morning. This is Good Morning, Enid. It is time to rise and shine.
Good morning, Enid, and thanks again for joining us. It's around 44 degrees, as Steve said, and I would say let's go take a look at that bus stop forecast, but I believe it's spring break today, so no one's actually there. It's 44 degrees now. It's going to get up to a high of 75 with a low tonight of 56. The winds are about 20 to 30 out of the south side, so it's a bit windy today, but other than that, 75, I can't complain.
I'm glad you reminded me. I've been the only person at the bus stop this morning thinking, where's the bus? Oh.
You're right, Erin. 75 is something that we definitely appreciate, especially now during spring. This weekend, I'm hoping it looks the same, and it does. It looks pretty sunny, and it's going to be definitely good temperatures. Friday looks to be 80, so I'd say that's nice. A bit windy as well, but other than that, a fairly good weekend.
It's the California spirit, right? That you like the 75-degree weather?
I do, but then Oklahoma hits me with like the cloudiness and then the wind and...
Oh, well, we have variety, that's for sure. It's 7:32. We certainly appreciate you joining us for show number 162. We're keeping track because it's just amazing. Our 4 years of doing live television, Enid, Oklahoma, and then live streaming around the globe. We can't believe it's been for some years. Let's look at the statewide temps in case you're planning a day across the state. If you're going down to maybe southeastern Oklahoma all the way down to Colbert, it's 43 right now. So you can see the temperatures range anywhere from 40, well, they're out there in Bunch, Oklahoma, eastern part of the state at 39 to all the way to 50 degrees. So that's typical Oklahoma, usually 10, 15 degree temperature difference in that area. So, and that's right. And I appreciate Erin reminding us there's no school. I was thinking there was school, college is out. Everybody's out. So what do you do on spring break?
Well, I don't really do much other than work. I'm thinking next year I'll probably plan something.
You want to hear a story about my first spring break?
Yes, let's hear it.
Thank you for saying yes, so I can tell the story. When I was in high school, we didn't have spring break. So that dates me as old as trees. Okay, way back there in high school, we did not have spring break. But my first spring break was my first year in college. And I remember coming home to Perry from college. And my mom said, boy, I'm sure glad that you're home from spring break. We need to put a roof on the house. So my mom and I, we put shingles on our house for spring break.
Wow.
Yeah. And I still haven't gotten over it.
Right,
it was no fun, no nothing. It was putting shingles on.
But I'm sure you learned a lot, right?
I learned a lot and helped Mom out, and that's what it was all about. So that was the first spring break. So enough of that.
Awesome.
So let's move along.
Yes, definitely. We do want to move along. We want to hear those news.
All right. It's 7:34, and I think we have some sports, and it's not so good for the Oklahoma State fans. But to get all the information that happened overnight, we always turn to the bow tie guy. That's Derek Silas, and he has the Oklahoma Minute.
Teacher pay raise is certainly a hot topic here in Oklahoma with the threat of an upcoming walkout, wherein the Dems are suggesting to lift gross production taxes on new oil and gas wells. And the University of Oklahoma's Trae Young announced Tuesday that he is entering the NBA draft. The Sooners' freshman's 27.4 4 points and 8.7 assists per game, rule the nation and will help him to become the first Division I player to lead both categories since the NCAA began tracking assists in 1983. Tomorrow, the Thunder will take on Miami at 7 p.m. in Oklahoma City and will play Portland Sunday. And as Steve mentioned last night in the NIT tournament, Kentucky gets a win over OSU 92-84. Here's a fun fact. The world's largest deposit of alabaster is at Alabaster Caverns near Freedom. And on this day in history in 1765, the Stamp Act is imposed on American colonies. And that's the Oklahoma Minute.
Now, the follow-up question, Sarah and Aaron, is where is freedom?
That's a good question.
That is a very good question. Freedom, Oklahoma is in the western part of the state, just in case you want to know. And only because I have driven through Freedom once, twice, 3 times in my life, that always took out Freedom, Oklahoma. Okay,
You were
enough of
asking
that.
the wrong people.
Yeah.
We're both not from Oklahoma. But I'm glad we know now.
Yeah, now we know.
No more questions today. Let's move on. Okay, sorry.
We do want to take the time to remind you if there's anything you want to share with us, any questions, comments, pictures, anything you want to share, feel free to email them at gme@enid.org. Our cows are always there, ready, just faithful, waiting for anything that will come from you guys, because we love to share it here on the show.
But at least you know what kind of cows those are.
Yes, took me a while, but yes.
And they are?
Hastings. Holstings. It took me a while, but then you hadn't asked, so that I forgot.
Yeah.
You got to keep
Yeah,
up.
our
Steve. You gotta
Hastings
keep up.
cows, yeah, new breed in Oklahoma,
Holstein cows.
Hastings. Very good.
We do have 2 very special pictures today to share. The first one is my little one. He turns 2 today. Just want to wish him the happiest birthday ever. And then we also have one that I'm going to let Erin talk about.
Yes, my very lovely boyfriend soloed for the first time in the T6 yesterday, so I just want to say congratulations to him, and good job.
Well, those are impressive dates, a 2-year-old birthday and a solo flight, things like that. So, again, as Sarah said, send us your pictures. We'll put them on there.
Yes.
Congratulations, Adonis. Is that right?
Yes, Adonis.
And also to Ethan, so congratulations.
Yes. And obviously, you guys seen the nice weather we're going to have this weekend. So if you guys are looking for any big plans to celebrate anything, like a second birthday, here's Erin to give us what's happening here.
We do have some pretty great events this weekend. Starting us off on Saturday, the Boy Scouts of America are hosting a car show at the Garfield County Fairgrounds from 10:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. It's free admission, which is pretty great. You can go see some really great cars. There are 4 different judging categories: stock cars and trucks, custom cars and trucks, hot rods and rat rods, which I did not know what a rat rod was until I looked it up earlier. It's just a more exaggerated hot rod, I guess. And then there's also People's Choice, so you can even have a vote in the matter. There are 2 really interesting cars that are also going to be shown there. There's a 1918 Geronimo, which was made in Enid and is its last of its kind, and a 1960 Monroe, which there are only 14 left in existence. It's an indoor event, so if the weather is supposed to be pretty good, but in case it doesn't end up being as well, it is an indoor event. And the Boy Scouts of America will be having a breakfast and lunch in case you're hungry during the event. Then after that, also on Saturday, is the Red Brick Road Food Truck and Art Festival on Red Brick Street, also known as The Bricks. They're $2 wristbands, and it is from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. There's going to be over 20 different food trucks ranging from snow cones to barbecue and dessert, and there's coffee. There's everything you can imagine. There's over 20 kinds. There's also going to be a beer garden and local musicians, which you can look up the set list on the Facebook page for the Enid Event Company. And the Creative Arts Enid Art Festival is also there, showcasing Oklahoma's artists. It's family-friendly and dog-friendly if you bring a leash, so you can bring your dog if you'd like to. So it'll be really great. You can get food, music, and you can look at some great Oklahoma artists. Then also on Tuesday, there's the Enid March Tipsy Artist Party at the Spring Hill Suites Marriott Ballroom from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's $25.97 and includes all art materials that you'd need. And there are spring paintings, so it'll be the Love Llama, Bunny Family, Unicorn, and Believe Tree, so very spring-like paintings. I have a special love for this kind of stuff because my first date with my boyfriend was actually at something exactly like this, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Everybody together.
Yep. It'll be really fun. There's Tiffany Bora's instructing it, and there's tracing templates in case you're not as good of an artist, which I know I'm not, so I definitely needed to use that when I did this. It's 13 plus as long as you have your family members with you, and 21 plus for alcohol. So it'll be a really great event. You get to paint, and that's what's happening.
I remember painting by numbers. That's about the extent. So it's 7:40. Good morning, Enid. Thank you for joining us today on this Thursday, March 27th, spring break week across the country, at least in Oklahoma. And it's also March Madness. On Monday was March 19. And so March 19 in 1966, Enid's own Don Haskins and his Texas Western basketball team won the national championship in basketball. March 19, 1966. So we say congratulations to Don Haskins, and also celebrate with his family on a significant achievement way back, what was that, 52 years ago? My math could be off. But anyway, a long time ago. Okay, we have a promo that's been put together by Dane Tate of our ETN team, and it kind of celebrates Texas Western's national championship team with Don Haskins. Let's take a look. Well done, and congratulations, Don Haskins, and all the members of the Texas Western team back in 1966. Wow, 52 years ago. I had the privilege this week to speak with Mark Bays. Mark is with the State of Oklahoma Forestry Service, and we were talking trees, Arbor Day, everything to do with trees and what's the best trees to plant here in Oklahoma. And so we had a really lengthy and a great informative interview. So we're taking a little bit out of that interview. So let's listen to Mark Bays from the Oklahoma Forestry Service right now. I learned something here recently, Mark. I know about oaks, I know about pecan trees, and maybe a few more others, but I've learned that the Kentucky coffee tree is a tree that maybe people can consider here in the drier area of Oklahoma. Kentucky coffee tree.
Right.
Well, describe what it looks like. I've seen pictures of it, but describe our viewers what it's all about.
You can use the beans as a coffee substitute, but you need to grind them up. You need to bake them and all that, and it doesn't have caffeine. So if you love caffeine, well, don't do that. But it's not a native tree, but it was planted for that very reason with some of the early settlers.
For
and
coffees,
and so now it's expanded into where you can see it out in the wild, and so it is becoming naturalized. It's just a tree that does really well in hot, dry climates. The city of Frederick, actually, way down in the southwest part of the state, they planted them along their streets. And so it is a tree that is adapted to our hotter, drier summers that we have. It is a male and female tree. The female trees are the ones that are in the wintertime that you can see, and they have those really large-looking bean-shaped things in it, and that's where the actual beans are on the inside of that pod, and that's if you wanted to grind them. And there's all sorts of ways that you can figure out how to do that. But so it's a male and female tree. I love it because of those winter pods actually have some really unique characteristics. Some people don't like the pods because they're big and they fall, and you might slip on them or something. So there are male and female Kentucky coffee trees.
So make sure you get the male.
Well, if you don't like the fruit, then yeah. And there are male cultivars available in the nursery industry. And
let me ask you, what would be considered the best shade trees for our Oklahoma climate? Let's stay up here in the Enid area, if you will. Somebody says, I need to shade the west side of my house.
Right.
So what would be the recommendations?
Well, that's a tough question because it's all about matching the tree to the soil type and actually the location of that. And you hear a lot of discussions about, okay, we got to use natives, we got to use non-natives. Well, in city and towns, like around Enid even, where you may have a home built on natural soils, and what happens? Well, they excavate all that soil out, all the soil's gone, and so if I was to recommend a native tree for you where there's no native soil there, then that could present a problem. So it's all about choosing the right tree for the location. There are some hardy trees. If you just travel around this city of Enid, you can see sycamore. There's a lot of sycamores around town. And sycamore is a tree that you mainly think is in a low-lying area along creeks. Well, there's some big sycamores in Enid. There's bald cypress. That's another water-loving tree that you wouldn't expect would do well in a hot, dry climate. But it is one that we're seeing do quite well in Enid, because the theory is the tree has evolved in swamps, and so it doesn't necessarily need a lot of oxygen in the soil to grow. And so they seem to do well in compacted soils. There's oaks. You know, you mentioned oaks. Yeah, there's 26 different kinds of oaks native in Oklahoma. But up here, you could do a chinkapin oak is a good native that you might be able to find. Shoemart oak is another large tree that you could probably find and might do well. Sawtooth oak is another large oak that we have, and we are in Oklahoma, right? So that's why, you know, it's okay to like talk about oak trees. It's okay to think about oak trees in Oklahoma. But, you know, and there's a number of non-native trees too that do well. Like one that we see a lot is called a Chinese pistache. And that's a tree that's very tolerable of our tough conditions. Some people are suggesting that the little tiny berries that are on a Chinese pistache may be moving out in the natural areas, and since it's not a native tree, it could be considered somewhat invasive. We're not here. We're not yet there here in Oklahoma, but lacebark elm is another good tree. It doesn't tolerate ice as much, but boy, that thing will grow out of a rock. Another tree that has a terrible name, but it is native in south part of the state, is cedar elm. I mean, cedar elm. I mean, that's some people don't like cedars and some people don't like elms, and what a terrible name. But that is just a tough, durable tree. It is native, and I think it should be planted more.
What are some interesting facts about the benefit of trees? When I think of a big old oak tree, I think of, man, the August heat, nice shade tree sometimes, and a cool breeze under that tree. But what are some benefits of trees that maybe we've overlooked?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be drinking that beverage of choice underneath the biggest shade tree. And some of the early pioneers would have their celebrations under the large canopy of trees just because there was no air conditioning and that sort of thing.
No carports.
No
nothing.
awnings. Yeah, so, you know, we all know, you know, if we like to breathe, we all hear about air quality. Trees certainly help with that. You know about the roots hold the soil in place around our, you know, streams, and so a lot of those environmental benefits, you know, we know that they have. But there's a lot of studies now that are coming out and just finding out about the human health benefits that trees provide. They are actually starting to prescribe for depression, you know, for high blood pressure. Why don't you just go sit in the forest? It's called forest bathing, you know, and so they're finding out that there's a lot of human health benefits simply by being around trees. There's hospital studies that have shown that if patients can actually view nature or go out into a, you know, like a little park or a little open space area, they recover quicker with less medication. Trees actually reduce crime. Can you believe that? There are some studies in some inner cities.
I'm anxious for the answer on this
Yeah,
one.
right. Well, you hear about some, well, you can't have that tree there because the bad person's going to hide behind it. So you have to be, you know, selective of the trees you plant. But if you have open space in park areas, some studies were done in the Chicago area, inner city housing projects where you have, you know, the land where people have open space, where they have parks where people can come out and meet their neighbors. And if there's not that open space to get out and meet your neighbors, well, there's less crime that goes on in those areas where there's open space and parks.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so utility benefits, mentioned energy savings, that's something big that they have. Real estate values, the same tree or the same house with well-landscaped areas, higher value in that. You know, so now we're losing a lot of ash trees throughout some of our cities and towns, and they're finding out that just simply the loss of those ash trees, they're seeing a lot of respiratory diseases in these same areas now because the leaves, just think about it, it blows, wind, and those leaves collect the dust, and so they, kind of the dust comes out of the air, and then it gets washed away in the rain.
In preparation for our visit today, I was doing a little bit of research in regard to the benefits of trees, and depending on the different article that I would read, but it mentioned anywhere from 10 to 20% about landscaping and trees, and you touched on that, adding to the property value of your home versus nothing at all around the house versus having established trees and bushes as well. Mark, if somebody's watching the program and they may be a school teacher, administrator, or even just a student, and they're thinking, we need to plant a tree here at our school in honor of our principal or a school teacher, they may want to plant a tree at home. Should they contact you first, or what is the recommendation from the Oklahoma Forestry Services? Well,
they can certainly give us a call, and we'll steer them in the right direction. Okay. We have some information available on our website that talks about proper planting. And the first thing I always suggest to people, if you're serious about planting a tree, you need to match the tree to the site that you're looking about planting. A great way to start with that, and it would be great for a classroom project to do a soil test in the area where you're wanting to plant that tree. So maybe the students can go out, they can work through their local county extension agent, and then, then they could, figure out just exactly what's there to help them get a better idea of the kind of tree that would go there. For a school classroom, there's a whole host of online products that are out there. There's this product, it's called iTree, little I tree. And that's a free service. So you can go on this website and you can dial in your home address, and through the wonderful world of Google imaging, kind of scary, but your home will come up or your school will come up. And then you'll have a whole list of trees that might be suitable for that planting. And you can actually put a tree around your home and figure out the best place to put it for energy savings. Then you can actually grow that tree. I said earlier, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So often we don't think that far in advance. So that tree that may get 50 feet tall and 40 foot wide at maturity, we can use that program to do a growth modeling of that tree and watch it grow through time. So it might look good, 4 feet tall in your front yard or next to, the school or something, but in 20 years, it's going to present more of a problem. So think about it long term, use the resources that are out there. We certainly, would be happy to help and help guide people in the right direction when it comes to that. County extension agents and, on occasion, use your local sources, your different nurseries, they'll certainly have some advice to provide as well.
Well, Enid is definitely blessed with several master gardeners and also with the OSU Extension Director's office here in the Enid area. Helps a great deal. Speaking of that 4-foot tree, my wife and I are proud owners of a 4-foot tall pine tree. Yeah. And we picked that tree up free at the State Fair in Oklahoma City a few years ago. Right. And it was every bit this tall, and it's doing well in this height, which says that got a free tree. And my wife said, well, we'll find a place. We have a big enough yard to find the right place for this tree. Does the Oklahoma Forestry Services provide free trees, or was that one of your projects at the State Fair? Yeah, Did I get one of your trees?
Yes, you did. Thank you. Thankfully,
it's doing well.
It's doing well. Well, that's a project that probably OG&E, we've been a long-standing partner with Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company, and a lot of times we'll have seedlings, young pine trees. It was a loblolly pine is probably what it was if you got it at the State Fair. And so we do provide these trees on occasion for some environmental conservation type messaging. And so OG&E has been doing that at the, down at the State Fair for a great number of years. Sometimes we partner with them and kind of have a shared booth. So we're there handing out some of these seedlings. But that's really sponsored by OG&E. Okay.
Thank you very much for that interview, Mark Bass, and all that information.
Good job, Mark.
Really, 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 really good information, especially if you're looking at planting any trees this season. Here is his contact information if you would like to know more, or if you have any other questions. 405-522-6158 is his number. and you can see the email there as well. We also want to make sure we give you guys the opportunity to get some of the news, overnight news. If you did not hear from Derek earlier, here's Derek now.
Teacher pay is a current hot topic in Oklahoma with the threat of an upcoming walkout. House Democrats say Oklahoma Supreme Court ruling could break teacher pay logjam. And University of Oklahoma's Trae Young announced Tuesday that he is entering the NBA draft. Last night, NIT tournament, Kentucky gets a win over OSU 92-84. And tomorrow, the Thunder will take on Miami at 7 p.m. in Oklahoma City. Here's a fun fact in Oklahoma. The world's largest deposit of alabaster is at Alabaster Caverns near Freedom, Oklahoma. And on this date in history in 1765, the Stamp Act is imposed on American colonies. And that's the Oklahoma Minute. Now, here's Brooke for more upcoming events at the CNB Center.
Good morning, Enid. Glad to be back with you this morning. And it's a great day tonight, right here at the CNB Center. We're having Casting Crowns. They're returning here. It's going to be a great concert. And that event does have tickets still for sale. So if you're looking for something to do tonight, come on down to our box office and get tickets to see Casting Crowns. The event starts at 7 p.m. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a phenomenal show. Then looking forward into April. On April 6th, we're participating in the Main Street Enid First Friday with our very own Plaza Party. And we're having famous crappy burgers again. And if you haven't had one of these burgers, they are far from crappy. They are just famous for the name because they are that good. You don't want to miss it. We'll have a live music by Backstage Pass. Again, that's going to be with First Friday on our plaza just north of our convention building. It's going to be a great event, and it's no charge. Come on out, have a great time, and enjoy beautiful weather, we hope, and live music, and also, like I said, the amazing crappy burgers. Then we will also have in May a Mother's Day craft show. So if you're looking for something to do, come on down right here at the CNB Center for our Mother's Day craft show. We're still accepting vendors, but we are very close to being sold out. So it's going to be full of so many vendors right here from 10 to 3. That's on, not on Mother's Day, but the day before, Saturday, May 12th, again, 10 to 3. You don't want to miss this event either. And looking forward also into May, we have Ron White. He will be here on May 18th at 8 p.m. Tickets are available. This is going to be another great show right here at the CNB Center. For more information and a full list of all of our upcoming events this spring, visit our website at cnbcenter.com. Thanks, and back to you in the studio.
Great job, Brooke. Great information. At 7:57, we need to visit Charlotte right now for Adopt a Pet.
Hi, good morning. Today we have Malin. Malin's in pen 21. She's a female, about 3 years old, and a bully mix here. She's dog friendly, and she's really sweet and loving. And she's looking for a new home, so come by and visit us today.
How can you not when you see that pet? Take her home and home. Okay, we've got 15 seconds to say goodbye. Derek, Sarah, have a great spring break. Happy #2 birthday to your son today. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Enid. We sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be in your home every Thursday morning. We encourage you to make it a great day today. It's going to be 75 degrees. Spring is in the air. Thanks, everyone.